Thank you all for joining us at the virtual roundtable this week. First, we have a former New Mexico senator. That would be Dee Dee Feldman. Next, it's another regular on our program, Merritt Allen from Vox Optima Public Relations. We want to welcome back Jessica Onsores, news director at the Carlsbad Current-Argus. Good to have you all here. We're going to start with your reaction to the Republican convention here in New Mexico. It's a big year with the race for governor in the fall, and the party got a chance to choose its top candidates. Now, getting enough delegate votes to be on the ballot in the primary are Sandoval County Commissioner Jay Block, State Representative Rebecca Dow, and West Point graduate and veteran Greg Zanetti, in that order. The notable exception is Mark Ronchetti, the former TV weatherman and Senate candidate. Merritt, let me start with you. What was the thought process here for delegates? Is there something to be gleaned from the order of the delegates here? And we'll get to the actual convention and its machinations in a second, but I want to concentrate on who came in what where. What does it mean in the long run to you?
I think very little, just because the convention itself was so disordered.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to say. And of course, you also have the top two candidates being 7 delegates apart. So you've got the fourth place finisher who didn't even really try to campaign for delegates. And then you've got the top 3 finishers who were, 50 delegates apart out of a total convention participation of, really a record turnout of almost 800 delegates attending. So it was a close finish among the top 3. The fourth finisher wasn't even seeking delegates.
Interesting. Jessica, I have to ask this right off the top. Mr. Ronchetti will be on the ballot anyway. We knew that going into the convention. So is this snub something Mr. Ronchetti can use to his advantage politically?
I do think so. We were talking about this earlier, and the fact that there is something to be said for how he came out a little bit shiny from, I know you said we'll be talking about the shenanigans at the convention altogether, but he came out on top, I think, with voters and with the media and with the public. Signatures say one thing about a candidate versus delegate votes. I'm not particularly an insider. I don't care for delegate votes when I've got voter support. Look at all these signatures I have up front. I do think he's got something going for him with name recognition and with the war chest that he's managed to amount ahead of the other delegates. And with continued goodwill like that, who's to say that he can't come out as the premier candidate against Michelle Lujan Grisham?
Senator Feldman, I got to read you a quote from Mr. Ronchetti. I just found this amazing quote. "I'm concerned because of the backbiting and backstabbing that this process has become. We've got gubernatorial candidates trying to keep each other gubernatorial candidates off the ballot. We've got cheap shot cowards going out there sending texts anonymously. Grow up. This isn't who we are." That's amazing to me, taking on a party like that, the party that you want to lead ostensibly for the governor's office. What is he saying here to the Republican Party of New Mexico with these kind of quotes?
Well, he is saying grow up. And I think that Ronchetti looks good just because everybody else looks so terrible. And he's been able to distance himself from the clown car, so to speak. And, it's not hard to do because the Republican Party, even though this was obviously a disaster in terms of backbiting, in terms of miscounts, in terms of delays, in terms of banning the media from the vote count, the Republican Party itself thinks it was spectacular, thinks it was a paragon of election integrity. And so, Ronchetti's just laughing all the way to the bank because, of course, he's raised, I think, over $1 million.
That's right.
And is a front runner. And to me, this just really clearly points out how antiquated these political conventions are. These pre-primary conventions, they are unnecessary. And they are just, a trap waiting to go wrong and bring down the party. But of course, the party wants to keep them because it increases their influence and their power. But we did away with these smoke-filled rooms at the beginning of the century, nationally. And now suddenly they're back without the smoke, but with a lot of boondoggles.
That's right. That's right. Merritt, I got to know, you were there, you were an eyewitness. What went wrong here? What was the situation?
I was not at the state convention. I was at the Bernalillo County convention.
My fault there.
I was not able to be at the state convention as I was not selected to be a delegate by Bernalillo County. I did have I did get some eyewitness accounts, and of course I followed the media who were covering what they could, because it was not an entirely open process to the media. Which was a mistake.
Yep.
What marked both conventions, both in the largest county in the state and the state convention, was ineptness, and that's a real concern for me. Both with just letting participants know what time to be there. That was difficult to find out at the county level. That was a problem at the state convention. Delegates were turned away after being told in their registration information by email that registration would take place between 9 and 9:30 on Saturday morning. Some delegates who arrived at 8:58 were told it was already closed and they could not be in their could not get their credentials, would not be able to vote.
Wow.
Is that inept? Is that deliberate? It's hard to know. Similar issues at the Bernalillo County Convention. Bernalillo County Convention, a rule change was announced that was apparently not voted on by the state's by the county central committee. It was just simply announced by some people that only central committee members would be voting on delegates. As opposed to
what would be the point of that? That's kind of confusing. I mean, isn't the point to have everybody vote at a convention?
Well, not in Bernalillo County.
Wow.
So that happened. Then at Bernalillo County, also like at the state convention, there is difficulty in voting, so voting couldn't happen right away. So
what happened there? What's your inside information on why the delay on the vote count? What happened there?
At state or county?
State, my fault.
State, the email, it was supposed to be by email, and the email system did not work. So they had to print ballots. Then the ballots, you went and voted by your congressional district. Well, there were nearly 800 people there. So you had to go stand in line with more than 100 people in it. And then there were proxies. So you stood in line for your proxy, then you had to go to the back of the line and vote for yourself. And then, of course, the media were all kept in a separate room and could not be witness to that, which there was no reason for that. There were no secrets. There were no write-in candidates. There was nothing that should not have been completely transparent. Bernalillo County, it was the opposite. It was supposed to be for at-large delegates who were not selected by their wards. It was supposed to be a paper ballot. They found there was no way to print ballots at their convention site, and so that was emailed, done later. It was voting irregularity that I felt should have been contingencies that were planned for in both locations. And so again, whether this was just extreme ineptness or something deliberate, I don't know. And so I feel among the candidates, I don't feel like there are any losers, but the Republican Party lost.
Gotcha. Let's go back to those candidates. Excellent description there. I appreciate you taking the time on that, Merritt. Thank you very much. Senator Feldman, were you surprised at all that C.J. Block finished higher than Rebecca Dow and Greg Zanetti? I was surprised.
I was very surprised.
Okay.
Yeah, I was very surprised, and I think these party conventions show the power of the insiders. You know, the candidates campaign to the delegates, not to the general public, or not even to the mass of Republican voters statewide. Theirs is a very small targeted audience. And, you know, it's dangerous because many times the nominee of a state party at their convention loses because they're not really the choice of the people. Gary King, for example, at the Democratic convention, I don't know, the same year that Susana Martinez ran.
That's right.
He won. in the Democratic convention, but lost mightily in the general election. So once again, I think we need to reevaluate how whether it's not destructive to the party to hold these pre-primary conventions every other year, spend a lot of money on it, spend a lot of time on it, rather than organizing the grassroots of their party, which I think many feel should have their voice heard, as well as those who can afford to travel to a state convention and endure the kind of things that Merritt was talking about in order to just cast their little vote.
Interesting. Jessica, let's swing Jess here before we get out of this one. I'm curious, Jessica, Rebecca Dow seemed to be the favorite for the establishment, quote unquote, going in. What happened there? My guess at a convention would have been her all the way, but it didn't happen that way.
I think we're just going to have to go back to what Dee Dee said, which is these are processes that you think you know what's going to happen going in, but there is a lot of insider parlay happening. Now, I saw Rebecca Dow yesterday, and she was all smiles and handshakes, engaging with people at a luncheon here in Carlsbad. Mm-hmm. She didn't seem disappointed overall by being second. A second runner-up in the pre-primary convention, but I do think that she would say she was surprised that Black came out ahead of her, and she's popular. She's got some name weight behind her. I wouldn't count her out overall just because he managed to walk away with 25% or 27%, excuse me, of the delegate votes. Mm-hmm.
And if I could just
Please.
Weigh in,
absolutely.
There are a lot of delegates who didn't vote. Because it switched, because people believed they could vote by email remotely, they left. Mm-hmm. And then it became paper ballots and they had no way to vote. Mm. So there are a lot of lost votes there. There are the people who weren't able to come in and were not present because they were turned away in the morning. Mm-hmm. So Dow only lost by 7 votes.
I'm glad you got that in because it seems to me, Merritt, what you're saying is this discredited now because of that? I mean, should we just all by Monday morning not even take what happened at the convention with any?
I think it's irrelevant.
Right.
It's irrelevant except for and really the only thing that the convention decides is the order of candidates as they will appear on the ballot. And I think even the most generous of commentators say that maybe at most accounts for 2%.
Okay.
If you're first on the ballot as opposed to second on the ballot.
Right. Interesting.
So
but in a close race, 2%.
Only outcome.
Right. Exactly right. Interesting. Thank you all for your thoughts on that. We'll be watching. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Merritt.
It's really unfair to the delegates who traveled to Ruidoso and made an effort, spent the day, because Ruidoso is not close to a lot of things. So just about everyone traveled, made an effort to do what, because they were invested in the process, nearly 800 delegates, not all of them got to vote. And I think it's a real disservice to them.
That's a shame. Again, thank you for the thoughts on that. We'll be watching this primary campaign season closely in the coming weeks and months.